Today's video, we're going to show you the best way to skim over Artex ceilings. We're going to show you the perfect mix on how to get it done, the best process, and we're going to show you the easiest and safest way how to effectively cover an Artex ceiling and get it nice and smooth. I'm also going to explain why I'm wearing a white hazmat suit. All's going to make sense in the rest of this video, but for now, let's just focus on one thing, and the first thing is Artex did contain asbestos. Now, there was asbestos in nearly every part of the household because it was such a commonly durable substance to use, and it was very strong, which means it was often used in many materials that needed extra strength or insulation. Now, we all know asbestos is very harmful to the body and can also cause a lot of problems for anyone who's been working with it in the future. Big question is, does Artex contain asbestos? Now, the long and short of the answer is yes and no. So anything before 1999 is a strong point to say that asbestos was probably found in the Artex. So anything from the 60s, 70s, 80s and the 90s, you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be asbestos in there somewhere. The big thing we've got to then tackle is we've just got to assume that every ceiling and every Artex ceiling you're going to plaster throughout is probably going to contain asbestos, unless you test it. A big thing that's been neglected by myself, I must admit, in the past. You know, as a kid I was told to scrape Artex ceilings right back. I did it in countless houses when I was about 16, 17, I hate to say, because that's what I was told to do. Now this video is to hopefully shine a light and kind of pinpoint the fact that it's probably a real bad thing to do. It's very harmful. We're exposing them harmful asbestos fibres into the air. You can get them tested. Now, what I'd advise, first off, if you're a homeowner or if you're a plasterer, if you're unsure on the ceiling you're working on, get a little testing kit. That's why I've got this on. I've got a bit of a tester from the ceiling we've done. We've protected the floor, put a sample in a bag. I'm going to send it off as a test, and we're going to see if the ceiling I'm working on today actually contains asbestos. But what I want to do is prove and show that there's a safer way to tackle asbestos ceilings without scraping them back. Let's start the tutorial. I'm going to show you how to get Artex ceilings nice and flat and how to hopefully avoid any asbestos exposure to you or anyone else's lives. Okay, this is the ceiling we're working on now. It's clearly an Artex ceiling. We've got that traditional stipple effect. First thing we're going to talk about is preparation. Now, if you're a beginner, someone who's brand new to plastering, I recommend 2 strong coats of PVA or 1 strong coat of SBR, which a lot of people are swaying towards. Now, I'm actually just doing 1 solid coat of PVA. I don't want to completely kill the suction, and I'm going to go into that in today's video and explain why. So in terms of the mix, we're going to have to add something that's got a thickness to it. So basically I'm going to add some bonding to multi-finish. The bonding is going to enable the plaster to be a thicker consistency, which means we can get over the high points of the Artex. It's going to be 2 coats. First coat we're going to have a mix of multi-finish, and I add about 20% bonding to that. A lot of people use a bit more. I don't like it to be too gritty, so I think 20% with a thicker mix, which means less water altogether. It means the plaster itself is going to be thicker, and we've got the body of the bonding which allows it to get over the high points without it sagging. The reason we only put 1 layer of PVA is because of the bonding. It allows and it can grip to a lower to higher suction background, which means we don't have to kill the suction too much on the ceiling. So we're going to add quite a thick mix, like I said, 20% bonding to 8% multi-finish. I'm going to mix it up quite thick, which means we can get that first coat flat, get rid of all the thickness, and then the second coat could just be a top up, pure multi-finish, just to top it off. Now I've got a thick mix. As you can see, it's quite grainy, which is going to allow us to get over the thick stipple effect on the Artex ceiling. So we want to apply it nice and thick, and the first coat we want to completely cover the texture. Now what we're doing, we've got a nice thick mix, which means we've got to get over the high spots, the stipples of the Artex, and we've got a lot of texture to get over, which means with a thicker mix it's going to enable us to quickly and smoothly get over the high spots because we've got more thickness to work with. If you had a weak mix of plaster, it's going to be harder to get over the different substrates in the background we're working on. So basically We want it nice and thick. We want that blend of bonding to help us keep the body. If you just did it multi-finish, you did it quite thick, it has a tendency to sag a little bit, which is why I like to add a bit of bonding, which is an undercoat plaster, by the way, to the mix. So again, we're trying to get over the stipple, we're trying to get over the textures. What a lot of plasterers don't talk about as well, Artex ceilings are often very uneven. They can be bowed, and sometimes Artex was used to cover a multitude of sins. So what you'll find me doing here is keep going back to old spots that I've already applied plaster to. That's because I'm trying to get that first coat as flat as possible. My aim here with the first coat is to get over the texture, but it's also to get it nice and flat. So I keep going back to old areas, and I want to get this first coat right. I want to make sure that all the work's done at the beginning, and when it comes to applying the second coat, it's going to be nice and easy. We don't have to worry about spending a lot more time trying to flatten off. Because we've got the help of the bonding and the thicker mix, we might as well use it to flatten it as we go and create a nice base for the second coat. Now, again, it's the same thing. What you might see is going over texture. You might see some bits poking through. That's absolutely fine as long as it's all within the first coat. You don't want them bits shining through when it comes to the finishing coat. It just wouldn't work. Now, if you're wondering why I'm facing the wrong way, it's because we've got a big sofa in the way. I'm a domestic plasterer and I've often got obstacles to work around, which is why I'm reaching and I look like a bit of a weirdo plastering the wrong way around. But basically, like I said, it's a real life plastering, we're getting over real life situations. So that's the first coat applied. Now the second thing to consider, we're going to give it a quick flatten. Again, we want to get this first coat as flat as possible. You can use a speed skim, can use a spatula. Just instance, I just wanted to use a trowel. So we're just getting it as flat as possible and making sure that we got a lot of that texture covered. Now there's another thing to think about, I'm going to talk about that right now. So the first coat's on and it's been flattened. Now what we don't want to do is jump on that when it's too wet. Because we've added thickness and it's quite a thick mix of plaster in the first place, if you jump on it too soon, that first layer will rub against the second because it's still wet. And that's when you get these bubbles, you get like air pockets. If you've ever plastered onto bonding before, you'll see it all the time. And that's basically trapped air between two coats of plaster. So we want to give it a bit of time and then make sure it's firm to the touch. Not solid, you don't want it where it's completely dried, but you want it where it's firm to the touch and it's not going to move around. That's when you mix your second coat. We're just going to have multi-finish now. I'm going to give it a top coat. All the area's been covered, we've got rid of the texture. Now just make it look nice and smooth. Like I said, the second coat is just the finished plaster. I'm using multi-finish, and this is just going to give us that nice finish we need for the top coat. Now, but going back, the reason I applied just one coat of PVA is because I wanted that first coat to pull in a bit faster. This is a smallish ceiling for me. I don't be waiting all day, so the suction and the pull from the Artex has enabled that first coat to set a bit faster, which is what we want. We don't want to go applying our second coat on top of a wet bonding mix. It's going to move around, slide about, and that's when you get the air pockets. And if you're any plasterer who's had them before, once you get the air pockets in your plaster, they're a real nightmare to work with. We don't want it completely solid because the second coat will just delaminate, but we do want it quite hard really and quite taken back. Now I do get a big clump of plaster in the area, look at this. Yeah, I didn't even know I did it, to be honest. Looking back and see how it happened, but a nice smooth mix now. We don't need to add too much thickness because all the hard work's been done in that first coat. So we're just adding that top coat, and now all we're focusing on is getting that smooth finish. Moving forward, we can make it looking nice. Again, still stepping over obstacles, but again, the hard work's been done. The second coat should be easy, and as long as you wait for that first coat to pick up a little bit, you should be good to go. That's the first coat and the second coat on. It's looking half decent, even though we're only fairly early into it. Now there's no waiting time now. The process is the exact same as if you're just doing a normal wall. Gonna get on it, start flattening it. Basically the only waiting period you had was when the first coat was on, and that's because that's gonna take the brunt of the damage, and that's gonna have the discrepancy between the high spots and the low spots. That's the sections that could have moved. Now that's taken care of. The second coat can be flattened as normal. All the Artex is gone. It's kind of flat, and now we just have to continue doing what we would have done usually if this was a normal plastering job. So by this point, it should be well taken into. The process is fairly similar now. We're jumping straight onto the second coat. That first coat has taken the damage, it's taken the brunt of the effect of the Artex, and that's pulled in nicely. The other good thing about the bonding mix, it leaves an almost slightly gritty appeal to the first coat, which means you've got a bit of a key when it comes to applying your second coat. So it grips nicely to that first coat, and it really does leave it pulls in nicely. I think it's like when you plaster onto hard wall, it pulls in nicely if you've got a bit of that backing before. And because we didn't add too much PVA to the Artex sealing, we didn't have to wait too long. Again, if you are a beginner, apply 2 coats of PVA or 1 strong coat of SBR, because you don't want it to pull up on you. Just make sure that first coat is taken up. That's the most important part of plastering ceilings, Artex ceilings at least, is make sure that the suction's controlled and you're working it at the same time. Now, what I mentioned before is about uneven ceilings. This is one section where I've got a huge dip, and I could not even get it out, not even with the extra thickness of the first coat. So unfortunately, in real life plastering, I can literally just go one way with this, and that's because there's a huge dip, and I'm just got to follow it the way I can. So it's going to look good to the eye, but in reality, and I'm being completely truthful with you, it's not completely straight. And that's a real life situation of being a plasterer. Sometimes you just got to get over what you can. Because we've got the cove in as well, we can't completely change the dynamics of the ceiling. But again, it's looking smooth, and all we're focusing on now is keeping the edges nice and clean, as well as getting the ceiling flat. One thing I'm very conscious of is the coving. What I do is water brush. I constantly keep the coving clean, constantly cleaning it up and cleaning the edges, because at the end of the day you want them to look smooth and clean as we go. I also like to use the tip of my trowel to pull back any plaster from the edge of the coving, and that's what I'm doing there, and then using the water brush again to clean it off as we go. In my opinion, it's these finishing touches that make you a good plasterer, and that's what the customers, or even if it's your own home, that's what people are going to be looking at. So use your water brush as a weapon to keep your edges clean, constantly cleaning your water brush with clean water, and that way not only your edges be clean, this coving will also be. So if you keep the edges clean and looking good, then the middles will fill themselves. So that's my advice to you there on this ceiling, and the rest of the process is pretty straightforward and very similar. In terms of finishing Artex ceilings, once you've got that first coat and second coat applied, it's very much the same. Again, I can't stress this enough, that the main point is just making sure that that first coat is taken up enough, and that's where the issues will come, and it's making sure that you cover all the Artex pattern. Now, if you are a complete beginner to plastering and you're watching this video because you're thinking you want to tackle an Artex ceiling first, I'd highly recommend against it, because they are tough. As you can see, I'm dealing with that area again, which is uneven, rough and uneven. You've got a texture to work through. It can be hard work. So I recommend, if you are brand new, sign up to our Plastering for Beginners welcome course, and we'll give you daily information on how you can start plastering from scratch, and we'll teach you the basics before you start jumping into something a bit strenuous like this. So you get emails with daily tutorials and daily lessons, so that's what I recommend. And here's the finished product. It's the ceiling done and dusted, and there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you found that useful and you want to find out 10 essential plastering skills that are going to make your life easier in plastering, whilst and click this link here, that'll show you how to become a better plasterer whilst increasing your skills. And if you like this channel, subscribe there. Thanks so much for watching. Say bye bye.